All right, let's take a tour of my patio jungle garden. Show you the whole place first and kind of give you an overview of some of the decisions that I made. So you can see it's this very long, skinny, narrow space. The way I've set it up is I have most of my trees over here. I've got a banana, papaya, passion fruit, grapevine up here, and then Mexican key lime. Then I have my little seating area, which is a folding down table, so I can either have it set up like this, I can fold the table down completely and fold away the chairs, or I could fold that other half of the table up and have a longer desk. So sometimes I work out here. And we've got our pond, our mini pond, which I already talked about in class. A fig tree, this is a husk cherry, also known as a golden berry or a Cape gooseberry. Then we have our garden tower, which really isn't being utilized very well here because of the lack of sunlight. But I've got this huge Okinawan spinach plant, which we eat a lot of spinach from this plant here, and a couple herbs in there. And then we have the raised bed, which right now has got a couple tomato plants, a couple pepper plants, some nasturtiums that have reseeded on their own, and some milkweed, onions, and then back here are these two worm bins plus those two worm bins, and then my pot composting. Okay, so when I was coming up with the overall layout of this, one thing that I wanted was when I got out of the door, I wanted so that if I looked down to the right, as soon as I looked out down to the right, I didn't want to see just the end of my walkway, right? I wanted to see garden all around. So if I walk out my door here, I got garden on my left, I got garden in front of me with the hanging baskets, and I see garden all the way to the right. If I had taken that raised bed and put it on the other side, then I would have seen just straight down into the wall. Okay, another couple things we want to focus on is, of course, the sunlight. So this is a northwest facing patio, which means this is pretty much the worst sun exposure I could have. My sun will come up only in the afternoon, and depending on the time of the year, in the summer it comes up like this, and right now it's kind of coming up like this, and in the winter it'll just barely peek over like that, and I get like 15 minutes of sunlight. So I had to be aware of that, so during the winter don't really have enough sun to grow anything, but I do have enough just reflection and kind of ambient light to keep my plants alive. I wanted to have my desk space really accessible, so it's right out here. We have some lights too, so that we can come out here at night. And then, utilizing the vertical space, so the hanging baskets, the pergola with the grapevine. I talked about how, the water kind of recycles from one hanging basket to the next, and then to the trees that are outside. Again, with the sunlight, I got this wall over here too. So if I had kept my planters low, like my raised bed over there, if that had been low, then I would have gotten even less sunlight. So that's why I raised that planter up so that it's the same height as the wall. And now when I do get sunlight, it falls directly on the planter for the maximum amount of time. And same with the garden tower, the top of that, gets a lot of sunlight, and then of course the plants have grown over. And then, for the trees, it doesn't matter as much because they're taller, they're gonna grow up over the wall. The citrus, when I planted her, she was probably about that tall, and over the last 2 years, she's gone up above the wall. The grape has definitely made it above the wall. So it took a little while just to get them up there, and then once they're up, now they can get, that maximum amount of sunlight. And now let's go outside to see the exterior. So here's the garden, the interior, and then here's the exterior, which is on the community side of our building. And so we've got the 6 hanging baskets, and then the 4 trees, and then the wooden box planters. And so you can see, even though I'm in a patio in a concrete space, I've actually chosen to have a lot of trees because that just makes it easier in terms of maintenance, because I don't have a lot of time to spend actually taking care of this garden as I'm going back and forth between the farm and here. So I still chose trees, perennials, and herbs. So that way the garden is, relatively green and growing something all year. And I've got a lemon guava here. This planter's got lemon thyme and 2 flowers and even a little pineapple plant. Pomegranate has got mint underneath as like a living mulch, and just another herb that I can eat. Then I've got another husk cherry out here. These hang baskets have strawberries, basil, and perennial arugula. I've got my tomato growing upside down underneath this hanging basket. Suriname cherry with lemon balm. This is all flowers and pollinators. And then this is the spinach and the Cape gooseberry. Here's the Cape gooseberry. And then here's all the spinach. I can eat all of these leaves, perennial spinach. And then down here again, more flowers, yarrow, and I got my little green onion patch. So I got green onions for the kitchen all year. There's also a Moringa tree in here, which is kind of dormant. Will sprout out once it gets much warmer. And then we got greens from that. So even, this whole outdoor space, I don't really need to do a lot of maintenance. It's just like maybe a couple hours here and there throughout the year. And everything is relatively green all year. Heavy on perennials, very few annuals, or almost no annuals out here in the outer portion of the garden. And only just a few annuals, the tomatoes and the peppers, and some of the basil on the inner part of the garden. And yeah, so even in this small space, I've got like 10 trees, grapevine, passion fruit vine, vegetables, herbs, flowers. So I'll pick this African blue basil, which is again a perennial basil, for bouquets in the house. And that is the patio jungle garden.